Russians of Reddit, what is life like over there right now? The prices for some things went 40 to 70% up. Apple Pay doesn't work. Visa and MasterCard don't work for online payments if you want to pay for something outside of Russia. We can't buy dollars of euros in cash, and even if you had a bank account in dollars in a Russian bank, you can't withdraw more than 10k. The rest of the money will be only available in rubles. A lot of stores have already closed, but mostly clothes stores and car dealerships. There is still plenty of food. But it got more expensive now. Prices for beer and wine in bars went 40% up in the first week. Because people are panicking and buying important things in bulk, it's hard to buy life-saving medicine, feminine hygiene products and sugar. I saw tampons being sold for 1500 rubles for a pack of 16, with the pre-war rate of ruble that's basically $20. A normal price before the war, the same pack was like 400 rubles. There is a constant presence of police in the city center of Moscow. Any street protests are forbidden. Protesters get detained in like 1 minute. Even if you're not protesting but simply wearing a green ribbon, the silent symbol of the protest, or Ukraine colors or symbolics, you get detained. The level of the censorship is crazy. Obviously the media hasn't been really free for a while now, but this is something entirely different now. Because nowadays even using the word war is prohibited and gets media websites banned. It's really 1984 all over again. Politically the society is very divided now. In the industry where I work, people refuse to discuss the war because people who have been successfully working together for years started fighting with each other over their opinions about this war. Suddenly many of us realize that people we used to like are very unlikable now. Overall the future looks grim and scary. Personally, I find it difficult to cope with the fact that so many people are brainwashed into thinking that Putin is saving Ukraine, and I live in St. Petersburg, which is quite a progressive city. I feel like I don't belong here. Even some of my close friends, who are well educated and anti-Putin, being anti-war, still believe some bits of the propaganda. It hurts. Also yeah, I'll second all the previous comments. The prices are going up like crazy. I went to a coffee shop yesterday that is called One Price Coffee. Every joint of the chain has a large sign 60 rubles on it. Usually you could buy a small cappuccino and a piece of pastries for one price of 60 rubles each. Well, nothing really costs 60 rubles there anymore if you don't count a shot of espresso. A small cappuccino is 90 rubles and all the pastries are over 100 rubles. Also I had so start spending my savings this month. I don't usually pay attention to prices much but can clearly see now that it's not only about coffee. I know how much I spend and this month it was totally not enough. I am studying in Moscow. Life has not changed much yet. Apple Pay does not work. Instagram and Twitter work only with VPN. Prices in stores have risen. Some products are not on the shelves at all. I am mentally preparing for the fact that life will become even poorer and harder in the coming years. Like I am on the Titanic and we are slowly colliding with an iceberg. When you are trying to say something about it to the captain, you meet some sailors with batons. Many at companies go out from country with workers. Many at workers itself go out from country. 100,000 immigrants right now. Many people go out to some friendly countries for open bank accounts. We have local default. No one can get dollars from banks. Rubles only. If you get salary from outside in dollars you can get rubles only anyway, and bank convert dollars with them course. Many game it companies block Russians, but block another countries with us because they use Russian processing system. And government now debates about create one epicate hardware buyer company for all country and something about sell gas and oil only in rubles. And many strange Minberger laws. Many people add blocklist Russian IPs and we have internet segmentation as result. Now I see Cloudflare with another eyes. And from another side Russian government blocks some sites too. As result I buy VPS for fix my internet. We lose some food from Europe but get some new from Asia. Some people lose job. But not much for now. We now change 99% soft on my work. From Slack to servers and SBC. Thanks a Pensers community. We lost not all software. Now all go to a Pensers. Some people who can't migrate go to Rally. But Omen sending them to jail. Now the detainees are kept in isolation for 15 days, so there is a high probability of losing their jobs if they are arrested at a rally. Many also receive fines, $50 but that not very small fine. On personal level it's scary. Scary in many ways. I fear for friends in Ukraine. Friends that were detained by police here in Russia. I fear for my own future. And for the world. Non-Russian speaking people are happy people cause they probably don't understand the full scale of madness that is our ruling elite. Seriously. Each time someone of our officials opens their mouth you think that they are certified crazies. And those crazies have nukes and other scary toys. On economical level well. Not good. Not terrible as of now. Prices are rising. Basic goods like milk are now 10% 20% more expensive. Electronics prices jumped significantly. Many shops closed. Many people lost their jobs. Right now it doesn't feel like apocalypse, but it's surely getting worse. I escaped the country and only get information from my relatives now. Two relatives lost jobs. Some vital medicines, insulin, thyroid medicines, are out of stock. Female personal hygiene products raised in price by 4 to 5 times and often are out of stock. Just walk more on fresh air and then you won't need tampons and pads, as said some idiotic Belarusian deputy. And overall it's slowly getting worse. But what infuriates me the most is that Putin supporters now feel free to openly bully and report to police on anti-war people. Our neighbor, the small local deputy, kept making anti-war posts. He did really a lot for our small district, without salary. Over the years, some neighbors reported on him and police came to him. I'm a participant of a neighborhood group chat in a messenger and I was horrified to see that the only feedback about this news was hate speech towards him, the person who helped these exact people a lot. Out of 350 participants of the chat, only 2 people, including me, showed sympathy towards the guy. The rest were either wishing him to die or kept silence. The most peaceful PPL were complaining that this discussion was irrelevant to the neighborhood topics and straight up asked us to stop discussing it. And it's an expensive neighborhood and all these are well-educated people. With good jobs, they traveled around the world, etc. They aren't low-educated mass from a village that has no critical thinking. I'm speechless and I don't see any chance for improvement. The brainwashed ones feel the power and the anti-war ones are too scared. Welcome back to 1939. Constantly questioning myself, what will happen tomorrow? Will the borders close? Will banks nationalize my money? Will internet be closed from the outside or the inside? What big brand will quit next? What opposition member will be put in jail next? It sounds like a bad joke, but in the past few days, Facebook and YouTube were claimed to be extremist organizations. For example, do I want to die from shame? Yes. Do I expect to have a bright future in this country? No. Do I know what's going to happen tomorrow? No. We struggle financially. Sure. The prices went up, many shops are closed. Some products are out of stock. People are losing their jobs. If you were working remotely and had clients from other countries, now that opportunity is gone. The stock market has been closed for about a month, now it's partially getting back on track. What's actually important is how hard it is emotionally. I don't know if it's a good analogy, but it feels as if your family suddenly started to bully and torture a person you really care about. And you can't do anything because they are holding you back. Now that person hates you and you can't even help them. You just wish the things could go back to normal, but you know they never will. I live not so far away from Moscow and sadly there are a lot of people who support this shitty operation. We will survive. We are saving Ukrainians from Nazi. Where were you for 8 years, as they are saying, just repeating the state propaganda. I'm so glad that my parents condemning this stupid war, Putin and all of his cronies. Also prices are 1.5x 2x from usual rate. A lot of my favorite stores closed. Can't buy anything abroad. The independent media getting shut down, social media getting blocked. Anything aside of state media considered fake and you run the risk of getting a fine or time in prison for a different point of view. I'm not complaining. Because Ukrainians are in the far worse position than me, for now, but their future is brighter. Personally, I would love to leave the country. But I have no possibility to do so aside from illegal ways. I have some money. But it would be tough for me to find a job considering the sphere where I'm working and the fact that my English is pretty mediocre. I have infinite respect for the brave people who go out to rallies. But I'm not one of them, which I feel ashamed of. I have shitty health. Shitty mental and physical condition. I would probably join an anti-war rally if it were big enough though. P.S. I always wanted to visit Kyiv, Lviv, Odessa and probably some other Ukrainian cities. But this is all ruined by an old miserable cunt who is hiding inside his bunker and losing his mind. When I watch War Chronicles I have no words. Just tears and hatred towards this bloodthirsty government bastards. Scary. Future is unpredictable. I would prefer for us to become merely Iran, but I'm really afraid of North Korea. I also regret believing that we will be stable and slowly stagnating after being afraid of a toddlerization for several years and then calming myself after 2012 to 2014. It's not that bad. Almost the same as before. Just with more nationalist rhetoric. Started to switch careers and so it's now hard for me to emigrate. Now I'm preparing to. But don't know if I will have time to. Also really bummed that I will have to do what I don't want to do and what caused a burnout for me. Talking with people is surreal. Most people of my age I know think that it's from bad to strange. Those who are not interested in politics think it's another 2014. Many are speaking with television's words, but no one seems to understand how fucked the country is economically. Really afraid of repressions. Doubt that they will touch me, the chance is pretty low. But general air is scary. Also, even though I'm sad about Ukrainians dying, I really think they really have a great future once it's over. Their institutions were tempered by this war. People are more friendly to each other than ever. Weird and a bit apocalyptic. 1. At least half of population support the madness, but therefore a lot of people don't. I don't have a good explanation on this phenomenon, except that it's a mixture of propaganda and a psychological block in their brains to accept that we are insane villains and orcs right now. That would imply they were in the wrong, and bad in a way, for many years, and their brains and conscience just can't take it. So they are using every incredible and dumb excuse to explain WTF we have forgotten in the Ukraine. And are convincing themselves those are valid reasons. 2. Opposition and independent media completely destroyed. 3. Life is, yet, more or less the same. But prices are rising, people are starting to lose jobs. Despite that, many don't fully realize the scale of economic catastrophe we are headed for within next 18 to 24 months. 4. The war has clearly gone against the plan. Was there really a plan though? Even the supporters are starting to acknowledge that. I still can't believe that a lot of shops closed. It is very strange for me. And that Instagram is not working. I live in Moscow, and I think that's why my life wasn't changed a lot. I'm not the only one who lost their job in my entourage. Buying dollars or euros to maintain the worth of your cash savings against the plummeting stocks of ruble is prohibited. Had to sell the PC now that I can't find a job. But the university is still working. I live in the Far East. And our life has not changed much. The only thing is that prices have increased again. As for my life, I am very worried. A lot of my friends live in Ukraine. Several of them have already gone missing. No Russian. But have a friend from there. He lives in Karelia. So not much change. Although that he also told me he uses a VPN and wants independent news outlets back. Oh yay, he told me that his relative told him that a guy got arrested for holding a blank piece of paper. Soviet-era joke. It was. He also said that in his town there was military forces at night and 3 people got arrested around 2 days ago there for protesting against the war. He even witnessed a protester getting beaten up and thrown in a police van. Man was seen screaming for help as he was hit in the liver with a weapon. Horror shit he had seen. Pokemon Go won't let me send them gifts. Till the February's end I feel like a dinosaur watching the asteroid going down. This is an important post. Great and interesting to read these comments. I have a Russian friend who live in the will never make a comment about the war because he is fucked either way. If he supports the Ukrainians, the Russo government doesn't like that, and if they know who he is it could cause trouble for when he wants to visit his family again. If he supports the Russians he will probably get jumped by the people in my school. My best friend is Russian. Her aunt's husband was drafted for war, leaving her and their 7 children, included newborn triplets, behind. They are devastated. Edit, kids. They had 4+ triplets. Barely any of us support this attack against Ukraine. I read many posts and here's a summary of all Russian responses, assuming they're authentic. Most people feel life is normal but are also seeing price increases. Items going out of stock and some payment transactions failing. Some people are losing jobs. Quite a few are complaining about video game payments not working. I find that curious. Are games a big deal in Russia? Or are a lot of the people answering here teens? There's plenty of support for the war. But there's also significant dissent. It's not that hard to go past the propaganda and find out the perspective of the outside world. VPN is common. But at the same time, just because they can hear contradicting opinions doesn't mean they agree with them. It's not all that different from anti-vaxxers hearing about the benefits of vaccination but still choosing to not take shots because they would just rather believe something else. At the same time, there is a lot of fear and helplessness amongst dissenters because nothing can be done. There's a general resignation that quality of life in the foreseeable future will suffer. Well, it's not too bad. Yes, prices are rising, but they were rising during pandemic too. Maybe our government will finally force ministries to solve the problem. Yes. There was panic buying of basic goods, including meme tier footage of old people fighting over sugar. But these people have spent most of their lives standing in lines and fighting over goods. They might be doing this on an instinct rather than some objective reason. Many brands have left, but not enough to make it look too bad. I live near a huge mall. Some shops are closed. IKEA had a whole section to itself. Also closed. But it's nowhere near pandemic levels. That shit felt like straight up horror movie. And those brands still keep their shops. They're closed. But not moved out. Many of them also have warnings like we're temporarily closed. The choice between profit and moral high ground is a very easy one for corporate fucks. Now politics is where things get scary. Government passed a law that gets you up to 15 years of jail for spreading misinformation about actions of Russian armed forces. And our noble law enforcement actively seeks people to make example of. Our government is worried about economic issues combining with political discontent, so they're becoming less tolerant of any position that is not full support. Term national traitor had made an appearance in rhetoric, which sounds oddly similar to Stalin's enemy of the people. Scary stuff. As for people, I have yet to meet one person who genuinely thinks that this war is a good or even necessary thing. People are still living their normal lives, with some minor inconveniences and ongoing financial struggle. I earn enough to not worry about food and shelter. So my biggest gripe so far are inability to buy stuff in Steam and on Kickstarter. As for economy, things I've read indicate that heaviest hits of sanctions will land in about a couple of months when our industry runs out of critical import parts. That will be a big yikes for train and airplane manufacturers, or any complex electronics. Our government is talking with a lot of optimism and brings up a lot of suggestions to aid the situation, but right now it's impossible to tell what is a good idea and what is pure populism. I'd say if this nightmare in Ukraine doesn't end in 1 to 2 months, you'll need another one of these posts. I'm not Russian, but I'm Georgian. I know many Russians and Ukrainians. Many Russians say that genocide is being committed in Donbas region, and when I hear it, I always stop the conversation. It is just not a thing to argue on when people are blinded by Russian media and their propaganda. My aunt who lives in Russia says the prices are going high. Private businesses are being closed day after day. Many Russia supporters say that United Nations and NATO give zero fucks when something is happening in Middle East. But if it is happening near them in Europe they freak out. Which is wrong cause they didn't give a fuck in Georgia. In 2008. I just hope that Russia will be stopped once and for all, and people will realize that their 163 centimeters tall dictator is forcing them to live in shit. Many Russians in Russia also say that they are religious. Protector of orthodoxy and Christianity in general, so they want to protect Ukraine from Western atheism and globalization, meanwhile killing kids, destroying historical churches and monuments. Yes, and I know not every Russian is same, but ones I knew didn't even like Putin before the war. Now they say he is right. Just pissed off, since many Russians migrate to Georgia so they can live normally in more stable situation. Hasn't changed too significantly, but it's still not great. Prices are going up for pretty much every product. Big companies are leaving the market. Big social media sites are getting blocked one by one. Video game online stores also no longer accept payments from Russia and game companies are removing their products from these stores, which has impacted me quite a bit since I enjoy playing video games in my spare time. I also like doing D stuff and that's also becoming more difficult because, again, the prices are going up. Overall, I honestly wish that one day I would just wake up and find out that this is all just a bad dream. One thing that was not mentioned enough is that Russian state TV propaganda is at full force now, sharply dividing people and families. My mom is a very good person and I love her very much. But she believes every shithead on TV saying that the war is very complicated situation and no one can know the truth about it. So she believes that we are not killing civilians, but Ukrainian Nazis remove people from homes and take positions in them. So are army bombing living places because Nazis are fighting dirty and hiding behind innocent people. She also says that we should take whole Ukraine because they are dangerous and could attack us any day. This places us in a very dire situation. I can't speak with my family because they are not listening to the facts, saying I'm not old enough and I am brainwashed with West propaganda. I don't want to have fight with them, but you can't make a civil dialogue with a walking TV. So life is in shambles right here and we have no support from the closest people. One of the worst things is foreigners not even understanding that we can't influence our government. Often hear people saying get on the streets. Protest, but we can't even legally call this special operation a war. Putin signed the law on fakes, stating that spreading fakes about special operation can be considered treason. 3 to 15 years sentence. There recently was a survey government conducted. People were asked about their position on Ukraine and 80% refused answering. Guess why? Among those who answered, 70% support Russia. And now Kremlin says that 70% of whole population supports them. Politics at its finest. A lot of things comes out of that uncertain atmosphere. Polarized society. Little bit of paranoia, I'm not even sure anymore. Maybe I actually am a protestful minority that doesn't understand global world picture. Other than that, prices grow week to week, some places close, any growth stopped. Not really cool. On an emotional level. Many are very depressed. Most of people around me does not support the government and everyone understands what an economic nightmare awaits the country in the future. For a month now, Only politics has been discussed at the dinner table. Everyone is very scared. No one understands why this happened and how to stop it. No one knows when it will end. In a few months my sister will be born, and I plan to flee the country and have no idea when I will see her and my parents. Perhaps I will end up in my house in so many years. This is an incredibly vile and scary feeling. I constantly want to cry and my nerves explode because of any little thing. Prices have risen by 20%. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Including me. Leaving the country is very expensive. I gave my monthly salary to buy one-way tickets. Many services and companies stopped working. For example, you can no longer pay for Autodesk, which is critical for me. On March 1st I was supposed to fly to study in Germany. Dreamed about it since the 8th grade of the school. Saved money for a very long time. Learned German. 12 hours before the plane, they called me and said they didn't want to see me because I was bored in the wrong place. For 2 weeks I could not stop drinking and did not know why I should continue to do anything at all if the dream can be so easily destroyed. It's pretty much like 1941, but I feel as if I was a Jew and a Nazi at the same time. Ukrainian folks blame us that we do nothing to stop Putin. But realistically, there is not much what could be done at this point except for a full-blown revolution.